Good and evil are a reflection of the polarities of this world. These polarities are reflected in our mind. And in this sense, good and evil exist only in our mind. Nature doesn't know good or evil. When a wolf eats a hare, it doesn't mean that a wolf is bad and a hare is good. That is not the fight between good and evil. This is just the laws of nature, the implementation of them. Good and evil exist in a person's head as categories. These are important categories. They also reflect certain internal processes. If we were to assume that the nature of a human being is the nature of good, their splendor and their substance, we nevertheless live manifesting this nature very weakly, namely because that's how our brain is arranged. We perceive ourselves and others in a particular way that we do not see, do not feel this nature, and therefore are unable to exercise it. In this sense, what we call good is the manifestation of our deeper nature and splendor. If we were to use the term divine, then we could call this the manifestation of the divine. That is what we call good. In this respect, evil is what hinders the manifestation of this nature. I like this story. I'm not sure if it's real or not. About Einstein, as a teacher, a materialist. He asked a question, does God exist? And students were responding saying, yes, God exists. God is the source of all good in this world, yes? Yes. So then where does evil come from? Well, then it must be from God too, as He's the source of everything in this world. So it turns out that God is evil too. He's not all good. So it must be natural to think that there is no God, a student was saying. And Einstein then asked him, tell me this, does cold exist? Yes, of course it does. In winter I get cold. No, Einstein replied. Cold doesn't exist actually. Warmth exists. And the absence of warmth is what people call cold. Does darkness exist? Well, yes, of course. You enter a room and there's darkness. So Einstein says, no, darkness does not exist. Light exists. You can measure light. There is no way to measure darkness, however. And what people call darkness is the absence or the lack of light. In this sense, evil does not exist. Evil is the lack of good, the manifestation of the depth of our primal nature. This approach appeals to me, that evil is the lack of good. It's our skewed perception of the world. In this sense, there are no good people and evil people. This border does not lie between people. This border is inside every person. And every person has both kinds of tendencies. There is the divine perfect nature, and things that are hindering us from perceiving, accepting, and manifesting it accordingly. Development, including any spiritual development, lies in the choice you make, realizing the difference, choosing the better. This choice is even in the most immediate, instant things continually. It's not like you just make a choice once to be on the good side, and that's enough, and that's how I'll live the rest of my life. It doesn't work that way. Yes, you do make this choice once, but you have to keep confirming and validating it very often. Say when you see, for example, your child getting into a puddle. In that instant, you are faced with a choice. Are you on the side of good or on the side of evil? You may not be aware of this choice because you act automatically, but that is a choice as well. And you start yelling at your child, and that is not the demonstration of your divine nature. In that moment, you made a choice in favor of evil, but that choice was subconscious. So you can't blame the person for making that choice, as that was triggered automatically. But it is valuable to see that you had a choice, and that you made a choice in favor of evil. We make choices all the time. It's not a once-off thing. This reaction is not uncommon. Ask any mother yelling at her child, and she would say that she wishes the best for her child. Even those that strike their kids, they too wish the best for them. But those have such a perverted perception of the world that to them this is a demonstration of good. That is where the difficulty lies. This is a very interesting place, where the metaphor of good and evil is displayed, so to say. There is a church as the epitome of the good, the incarnation of the nature of good. And right next is the building that housed a prison up until not so long ago. That was a symbol of concentration of evil. But in truth, this border in a person is much closer. It lies within each of us. We don't think about it much, but we face good and evil every day, and it's within us. In what sense? In the simplest sense. There is a part of us that longs for fulfillment, for love, all the values we talk about. Every person has a part in them and has the deepest need to be realized. We talk about dreaming, setting new goals, go beyond the borders of the familiar. That is one part of us. We have a second part that wants everything to stay the same as before, for nothing to change. We fear changes. We are afraid of the new. We are inert and don't want our life to radically change. And these two parts coexist in us, and that is the inner conflict that is manifested outwardly as good and evil. Using this example, it's easy to understand that good and evil are two polarities that enhance each other. They support each other and create a tension, current, a difference in the potentials in the world. This potential difference, like in electricity, the PD of plus and minus creates a potential for change, for development and for movement, just like an electrical outlet that has a positive and a negative, and when we plug an electric appliance in, it starts to work. And the same in life. The potential difference creates a current, and relying on this current, we can move. Either move realizing that aspect that is connected with our positive intention, with our desire for the good and love, happiness, self-fulfillment, intimacy between people, or we move towards a different polarity that demands that everything stays the same, so we don't feel any unpleasant emotions, so that we maintain the status quo in life. But in reality, there is no status quo in life, as life keeps moving. So the maximum embodiment of this movement and intention is death, cemetery, where nothing happens to us and we don't feel anything. And these two polarities, they feed off each other, and a person's life is spent choosing between them, between these two extremities. This choice happens every moment, definitely every day, sometimes every moment. Right now I will act based on my deeper need for the development and fulfillment, for love. Or right now I will act so that I can maintain my safety, without change, not to feel any unpleasant emotions. And that's moving in different directions. In life it rarely happens that we choose one extremity or the other. Usually we run in the middle. But if we talk about the global goal of our life, that global goal, or what we call a dream or a mission, it would be impossible to realize it if we were to choose the aspect of our life that requires stillness, safety, that demands to stay away from any unpleasant emotions. Because as soon as we start avoiding worry, anxiety, and unpleasant emotions, we start avoiding life itself. But you can only realize your mission, your dream, being in the depth of your life, submerged completely at maximum depth, in all your demonstrations, and not dividing them into good and evil, but taking them as a whole, as a manifestation of life itself. Some occurrences cause us pain, some are pleasant, but interaction with different aspects enlarges our diapason of living and perception of life. And our life fills up with colours, overtones and harmony, moving from this is good and this is bad, from black and white to multicoloured and multitoned life. And life becomes an exquisite experience of sophisticated nuances of being. Something like that.